Did you know that the United States was once part of the British Empire? But then came a war that changed the map of the world forever, the American Revolution. Today, we're going to talk about the American Revolution, how it started, the major events that took place, and how America ultimately won its independence. The 13 American colonies were British settlements located along the eastern coast of North America. Initially, these colonies enjoyed a fair amount of economic and social independence, but the British government retained political and legal authority. Over time, Britain began tightening its control, imposing taxes and restrictions, which created growing tension between the two sides. After the 7 Years' War, also known as the French and Indian War, Britain suffered massive financial losses. To recover, it imposed a series of taxes on the American colonies. In 1765, the Stamp Act required taxes on paper documents, newspapers, and legal papers. Then, in 1767, the Townshend Acts placed duties on imported goods. In 1773, the Tea Act granted the British East India Company the right to sell tea directly to the colonies, hurting local merchants. These taxes were imposed without colonial representation in Parliament, which fueled widespread anger. In protest, colonists raised their famous slogan, "No taxation without representation." They demanded that if they were to be taxed, they should also have a voice in the British Parliament. When opposition to the Tea Act grew stronger, it led to one of the most iconic events in American history, the Boston Tea Party of 1773. Members of a revolutionary group called the Sons of Liberty boarded British ships and dumped crates of tea into Boston Harbor. This bold act of defiance further strained relations with Britain and set the stage for the American Revolution. The first armed conflict of the Revolution took place in Lexington and Concord in 1775. The British Army had been ordered to seize colonial weapons, prompting them to march to Massachusetts. On April 19, 1775, when British troops reached Lexington, they clashed with local militia. The first shot fired became known as the shot heard round the world. Fighting soon spread to Concord, forcing the British to retreat. This marked the official start of the American Revolution. Later that year, in June 1775, the Second Continental Congress decided to form a unified army and appointed George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. Washington's leadership helped strengthen unity between the northern and southern colonies, making the independence movement more organized. About a year later, on July 4, 1776, Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, primarily authored by Thomas Jefferson. The Declaration proclaimed that all men are created equal and are endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It also stated that governments derive their power from the consent of the governed. And if a government becomes oppressive, the people have the right to overthrow it. This declaration was the official break from Britain and a historic milestone for freedom worldwide. Battle of Bunker Hill, June 17, 1775, fought near Boston. This battle was technically a British victory, but their heavy losses proved that colonial militias could stand up to the well-trained British Army. It boosted American confidence and strengthened the resolve for independence. Battle of Saratoga, 1777. This was a turning point in the war. American forces defeated the British Army led by General Burgoyne. The victory convinced France that the Americans could win, prompting the French to openly support the revolution with financial, military, and naval aid. This alliance dramatically changed the course of the war. France played a critical role by sending troops, ships, and funds. French Admiral de Grasse blocked British naval reinforcements, while French General Lafayette fought alongside American forces and provided military training. Spain also joined the fight against Britain, providing financial help and attacking British territories. The final major battle was the Battle of Yorktown, September 28th to October 19th, 1781, in Virginia. British General Lord Cornwallis fortified his army in Yorktown, but American and French forces surrounded him on land, while the French Navy cut off British reinforcements by sea. After 2 weeks of siege, Cornwallis surrendered on October 19, 1781, effectively ending major combat operations. Britain soon realized the war was unwinnable. The Treaty of Paris, signed on September 3, 1783, officially ended the war. Britain recognized American independence, and the 13 colonies became the United States of America. The treaty also defined new borders, granting the U.S. territory up to the Mississippi River, laying the groundwork for future westward expansion. The Revolution created a nation based on popular sovereignty, government by the consent of the people. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was adopted, establishing a modern democratic framework with 3 separate branches of government. Legislative makes laws. Executive enforces laws. Judicial interprets laws. The Constitution also guaranteed fundamental rights, freedom of speech, religious liberty, and representative government, principles that inspired democratic movements worldwide. The revolution's impact was global. In France, it sparked the French Revolution of 1789, as people believed they too could overthrow monarchy and demand liberty and equality. It also influenced independence movements across Latin America, Europe, and even Asia. The American Revolution became a universal symbol of freedom and democracy. The American Revolution wasn't just a war for independence. It marked the beginning of a new era of democracy, liberty, and self-rule. How important do you think this revolution was for the world? Share your thoughts in the comments.